All right, let's jump right in. If you look at a map of the British Isles, you'll see this one curious little island sitting smack dab in the middle of the Irish Sea. The people there speak English, they use the British pound, and honestly, it feels British in almost every single way. But, and this is the wild part, it is not part of the United Kingdom. It's this sort of geographic ghost, a real anomaly with a totally fascinating story.
So that's the big question, right? How can a place that looks so British, sounds so British, not be British? Well, it turns out the answer is this incredible mix of ancient geology, some seriously rough seas, and a history that is just unbelievably stubborn.
Okay, so first up, let's just get a sense of scale here. We're talking about a really tiny place. The entire Isle of Man covers just 574 square kilometers. And you have to remember that number because it's a very small stage for what is a huge, epic history.
Now, what does that number even really mean? Well, to give you some perspective, it's roughly 3 times the size of Washington, D.C. So just picture this. You take the U.S. Capitol, you make it 3 times bigger, and then you just plop it down in the middle of a notoriously choppy sea. That's the setting we're talking about.
All right, so before we can even get to its unique political status, we have to start at the very beginning. We've got to understand the island itself, the rocks it's made of, and more importantly, its incredibly strategic location.
You know, there's this old Manx saying that just perfectly captures its position. It says that from the island's highest point, a mountain called Snaefell, you can supposedly see 7 kingdoms: England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Man itself, the Kingdom of the Sea, and the Kingdom of Heaven. I mean, how cool is that? It just shows you this place was never isolated. It was smack dab in the middle of everything. It was in the way.
Geologically, this island is a total survivor. It's like 2 different places fused together. The south and the center are all rugged, craggy mountains. It honestly feels like a chunk of the Scottish Highlands just broke off and floated south. But then the northern part, completely different. It's totally flat, sandy, and fertile, basically made from all the debris left behind by glaciers thousands of years ago. It's kind of the best of both worlds.
So this unique geography didn't just make for some nice scenery. It did something way more important. It created a natural fortress and, get this, a kind of biological laboratory, completely cut off from everything around it.
Okay, so picture it. About 8,500 years ago, the Ice Age is ending, sea levels are rising, and that last little land bridge connecting the island to Britain and Ireland just vanishes underwater. Poof, gone. And this had 2 huge consequences. First, a lot of animals you see everywhere else, like squirrels, badgers, you name it, they just never made it across. They literally missed the boat. Second, this total isolation created this really tight gene pool, which allowed unique traits to develop. The most famous example, of course, is the Manx cat, which is naturally born without a tail.
But you know, the island's single greatest defense has never been an army. It's always been the sea itself. The Irish Sea is no joke. It's incredibly rough, with crazy currents and a really dangerous coastline. So while invaders could find plenty of nice beaches to land on in England or Ireland, trying to get to the Isle of Man was a whole different story. High cliffs, wild weather, it was a fortress built by nature. And that didn't just shape the land, it absolutely forged the resilient mindset of its people.
And that brings us to the human story. Because if there is one word that defines the history of the Manx people, it is resilience. This is the story of an island that was constantly being fought over by bigger, more powerful neighbors, but somehow it always managed to survive. And you can see that resilience in their national symbol. If you ever go there, you'll see this absolutely everywhere. It's called the Triskelion. 3 armored legs all connected together. It's this powerful symbol of constant motion and being ready for anything. And the motto that goes with it? It's perfect. It literally translates to, whichever way you throw me, I shall stand. I mean, come on. And they absolutely earn that motto. For more than 1,000 years, this little island was tossed around between empires like a toy, but every single time, it landed on its feet. In fact, for a while there, during the Viking Age, the island wasn't a victim at all. It was the one in charge. In 1079, a warlord named Godred Crovan established the Kingdom of the Isles, a powerful seafaring empire based right there. For centuries, the King of Man was a major player, controlling the entire Irish Sea with a fleet of longships. And the Vikings left behind something that's still there today, Tynwald, the oldest continuous parliament in the entire world. Think about that for a second. To this day, every July 5th, they gather on a special hill, and all the new laws for the year are read out loud, in both English and the old Manx language. And here's the kicker. If a law isn't read out on that hill, it's not a law. That incredible continuity is just key to this whole story.
But after the Viking Age, as Scotland and England got more powerful, the island became a political football. It was just kicked back and forth in a century of chaos. Scotland would take it, then England would grab it back. Finally, in the 1300s, England secured control for good. But, and this is the crucial point, they didn't make it part of England.
So, how did all this chaotic history lead to the modern anomaly we see today? Well, this is where we finally solve the mystery of its independence.
For centuries, the English king just granted the island to a loyal family who ruled it like a private kingdom. But by the 1700s, its low taxes had turned it into a massive smuggling hub, costing the British government millions. So, in 1765, the British Crown just bought the island's feudal rights. Now, this was the moment it should have become part of the UK, but for reasons that might just be legal complexity or simple oversight, it never officially did. And that historical quirk created the island's unique modern status. It's a Crown Dependency. So what on earth does that actually mean? Well, it means it's a territory that belongs to the monarch, the Crown, but is not legally part of the United Kingdom as a country.
This distinction is the key to everything. The island belongs to King Charles III personally. His title there is Lord of Man. It does not belong to the UK government or its parliament. And that means Westminster can't pass laws on the island's domestic affairs. Not their taxes, not their speed limits, not their schools. They are masters of their own house.
And the results of that independence are pretty wild. It's why the island can host the notoriously dangerous TT motorcycle race on its public roads. It's why, outside of towns, there are no national speed limits. It's become a global hub for the online gambling industry, and most companies there pay a corporate tax rate of 0%. Even its government is run almost entirely by independents, not political parties.
Just look at this comparison on personal taxes. The top income tax rate you can pay on the Isle of Man is just 22%. In the UK, it's 45%. That stark difference tells you everything you need to know about why the island has become such a magnet for wealth and for businesses looking for, let's say, flexible regulation.
So in the end, what you have is a political and geographic fossil. The Isle of Man is a remnant of a time before great nation-states swallowed up all the tiny little principalities of Europe. Through a combination of stubbornness, a bit of luck, and some very, very rough seas, it has managed to avoid being swallowed.
Which leaves us with a final thought. For centuries, this island has survived by being fiercely independent, a fortress against the tides of history. But in our modern, hyper-connected world, the question remains, can a fortress island truly stand alone forever?